Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the True Potential podcast. Here in front of us we have Bas van der Wolk, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and founder of the Agoge Jiu-Jitsu school. So welcome Bas, how are you doing today?
Hi, Case. Today I'm doing pretty okay.
Yeah.
We've word to the wise. Do not start a construction on the house, remodeling or whatever, during a lockdown. It, it is quite a challenge.
I
It
can
is quite a
imagine.
challenge.
Yeah, so
If you hear any drilling, they're busy upstairs, and if you hear any power tools, that you know what it is. I'm not chopping. I don't have a body shop here. I'm not chopping up bodies. I gotta get rid of none of that.
yeah, so you already mentioned it, the lockdown, and yeah, how are you feeling about it? How is it affecting your daily routine? Yeah.
Um, wow. Um, I feel it's a very double feeling. On the one hand, I fully understand why we have a lockdown, medical security, necessities, what have you. So yeah, I fully understand. We have a friend of my wife's and mine works as an intensive care nurse, and so we get a pretty direct feed on how heavy um, this virus hits you. And how heavy it hits the healthcare system. So I fully understand that you want to try and flatten the curve. On a personal level, man, it hits you hard, and I'm talking about financially, and completely disrupting your social life, your the way you used to live with all your hobbies and all that, especially ours. Um, yeah, and that hits you hard, and even though we have this fancy technique of video chats, which is great, it really helps out with contact between my kids and the grandparents. But even that, it's not a substitute. It's not a substitute for real life hugging or physical contact, and so it can get to you. It can get you, especially if you have a really severe lockdown. I can only imagine, like, when you live in Italy or Spain, and I know a couple of people from the BJJ community that live there. It's so different. That's a really tight lockdown. So you get to spend 23 hours a day cooped up with your family or alone.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does something. 1 week, that's fine, but 6 weeks, that's a long period. And we've been having it for a month now. Yeah, we've had our ups and downs here in the house. Yeah, I fully appreciate the issues that people have with the lockdown.
Yeah, so how are you dealing with the kids, for example? Because you already mentioned it a little bit. Do you, yeah,
Yeah,
like how is it? Because they're at home now, right? They aren't
yeah,
going to
they're at home.
school.
They're at home. Normally they would go to daycare once a week, and then I'd have them for a whole day once a week. My wife would have them for a whole day once a week, and then both our parents would either come over here, or we drop off the girls, because I have two girls, um, at my parents' house. So that's 5 days a week. You've got covered. I've got 4 days a week that I could actually get something done work-wise. So that all shifted, and you've got to be flexible. And
Mhm.
yeah, if you know my jiu-jitsu, I'm not that flexible. I'm more of a top-heavy pressure player, and when a bully gets bullied, it's hard. And this is one heavy bullying session, I can tell you that. Um, there's a small child is like a drop of water. It can break the hardest rock. And my 3-year-old You know, she's in that phase of her life that she starts asking why with everything. Why that? Why this? Why that? Why that? If you give an answer, why do you give that answer? It's fun, but sometimes it's frustrating. She's besides that, she's like a mini tornado. So she goes through the house and pulls out all the toys in 5 minutes, and I've got like 30 minutes of cleaning up to do. So, so yeah, those are challenging moments sometimes to keep your cool and to accept things that you wouldn't accept because well, you wouldn't be confronted with stuff like that. You know, if you don't have them at home, your kids during the weekdays, you know, you don't get to experience them. And I think on the one hand, I'm very lucky that we get to experience this time together, because I get to invest more time with my kids. My kids get to bond a lot more with me, and you know, it's good for my wife to see that I actually know my way around a diaper. But you know, so yeah, sometimes you know, if you don't keep your cool and your tensions rise, yeah, they can see your ugly face, you know, your ugly side, and we always try to keep that from our kids. And yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that. You know, life ain't pretty. That doesn't mean that I've got to rub their face in it, but you know, it's not bad if they sometimes see me flip out and make up. You know, because yeah, you can get mad, but I got to make up with my kids and tell them why things happen.
Yeah.
So that's
apart
how I
from
try to deal with the kids, because you know, there's no going to you know, like a small diner or a coffee place, and I can go and have them play with other kids. For instance, this interview, you know, where do I go? Park bench? Yeah. Well, if I go to a park bench, then I leave my kids with my wife. You know, and we've got a 7-month-old baby who has a hard time sleeping. And we have a 3-year-old who's like, you know, every tornado you've ever experienced. So, you know, you've got to take care of your family. And so we're doing this interview from home. Yeah. You know, and all the work that I do, besides jiu-jitsu, I've got a college study that's going to last 4 years. Where do I do that? You know, that takes up time it needs, you know, I need to spend time on that. How do I do that? How do I write a 500-word piece about whatever topic, and in the meanwhile try to have a 3-year-old behave and not break everything or swallow shit that she can't, beep, or swallow stuff that she can't swallow, or, you know, yeah, and not molest her little sister. Yeah, this yeah, you got a lot less done, but you know, yeah, it's you've got to become inventive, and also lower the bar. You know, we have these crazy expectations of how reality should be and what we can expect from ourselves and others in results that we get. You know, I think that a period like this can show you that the world will still keep on turning, even though you get a 7 out of a day instead of a 9.
Yeah.
And I think that's a healthy lesson for, yeah, I'd say everyone below the age of 40.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a lesson that if you can pick that up in your 20s, it's going to relieve you from a lot of stress you're going to build up during your early career years. You know, accepting that you don't have to be. You can never. First of all, you can never be perfect. You don't have to be perfect for no one, and but also don't expect perfection from others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't always be in control, right?
Well, control is a control. To be honest, control is an illusion.
Yeah. Which brings us to the next topic, maybe already.
Well, finally.
So you already surely mentioned it, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
What is it and what does it mean for you?
Um, I could give your viewers the textbook definition of jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
but to keep it short and simple, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu that we practice is a fighting style or a self-defense style focused on bringing any attacker to the ground, or when you're brought to the ground, to be able to defend you, to minimize the damage that they can do, and to walk away, to be able to walk away afterwards, um, and preferably with having the other person, the assailant, uh, be able to either carry it away in a normal fashion or walk away. Yeah. It's not about beating somebody into a pulp or whatever. It's about control. You know, that stupid thing we talked about just a minute ago. You know, everybody wants. Yeah, we try to get control. We try to take back control once we're out of it, and we try to take control once we need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And the second part of the question was,
Yeah, what does BJJ mean for you? Like now you
what does it
gave the
mean for
textbook
me?
definition.
Yeah. Okay. So what it means for me is changed during the years. First of all, it was a hobby when I started in my early 20s. Once I started in my early 20s, it was I started in university, and it was something different, something to prove myself as a fighter, compared to other people. And then later, it changed and became a passion, something I really lived for. Basically, to be honest, I would only know the days of the week depending on which day I was training. Yeah, I was solely focused on jiu-jitsu, and that didn't even have to mean that I would train crazy much. I wasn't even a mat rat, but just I was only thinking about jiu-jitsu, thinking about moves, thinking about the mistakes I made. How could I change that? And then later, when I became a father, um, and most of all, a trainer, coach, manager of my own team, club, um, it changes. It changes because first of all, you can't spend that many hours. So if you don't change your outlook, if you don't, yeah, and the way you deal with that, if you don't change, it's going to only frustrate you. You know, if you feel like you need to be able to spend, let's say, 20 hours a week training, when you've also have a small family, a normal job, you know, and I don't have a 9-to-5 job, a relationship you want to maintain, um, then it's going to get really frustrating because you're going to put the strain on you of expectations that you can't meet,
Yeah.
you know. And so it changed. I always used to say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is number one for me, and my wife is second. Now it's my kids are number one. My wife's on with 1 foot on the number one position. She's giving me all these kind of strange looks. I don't know why. I think she's happy that she's got 1 foot in the number one place. And but yeah, jiu-jitsu shifted to the number two. Shifted to the number
Yeah.
two. It's I need it. I desperately need it. I know that now. Um, but man, having kids really changed changed my outlook, and the way that I experience jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
And apart from how it changed for you, did jiu-jitsu by itself change anything compared to, for example, maybe 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I think that two important lessons. One, maintain. So maintain that focus, maintain that drive. Yeah, how to maintain that, even though sometimes the chips are down, or you've got life is like a ship. Sometimes you start making water, and you can either lament that and cry, which will only make the boat sink faster, or you can try and plug the holes and find a way around it and repair stuff. Yeah, and I think that jiu-jitsu learned me how to be patient, more patient, and people that know me will think that, oh shit, it was really bad before. Yes. So that changed. It also taught me the value of persistence. So, results don't come after a week. Lasting results, if there is anything like that, they take years. It take years to build it. So, for example, any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teacher that tells you can have your blue belt within a year, yeah, is in the best case scenario, wildly optimistic. Yeah, and in the worst case scenario is a complete fraud. And that's me, I'm not that I'm a complete fraud, but that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, because what is the belt system for the people that don't know?
Okay, so the belt system, the graduations gradually go rise through the belt system. What it does basically is nothing more than support your idea that you're doing really well. Yeah, because in the end, I know blue belts that can kick brown belts' asses. I know terrible purple belts. I've seen terrible purple belts. I've seen black belts eat other black belts for lunch. So it's not like an absolute system. It's I see it as a motivational tool. Yeah, either to give somebody that last push, to keep on training, to believe in themselves. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. It's a motivational tool.
Yeah, sounds very clear. And with years under your belt, you started in your 20s. When did the thought of opening the school come up, and how did that process went?
Okay, so that went gradually. 10 years ago, I started helping out my then professor when we were training in Arnhem, a different city. I started helping him out with classes. I think it was a blue belt then, or even late in my white belt years. I started helping him, and then that gradually I grew in that role as a teacher, and then we made the move to our current location, Nijmegen, and my trainer started to phase out jiu-jitsu out of his life because he had injuries and he was frustrated with that. I completely understand that, and he didn't see himself as a full-time professor. He saw himself as he likes to train and he likes to fight, and he didn't at that time. He didn't see himself as a full-time professor. I felt it was a waste to just stop, and if he was gonna stop teaching, then somebody should take up the reins, and that became me. So I think about 6 years ago, I took over the team in Nijmegen, and I slowly started concocting my own brew or special sauce, and try to try to give my own twist to what we had built together. Yeah, and that eventually became a Agoge Jiu-Jitsu team.
Yeah, so you moved a couple of places now, and how big is the team at the moment?
We still have about 10 kids, and around 75 adults.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So up till now, we've been pretty lucky. Not a lot of people have felt the need to quit their membership because of the coronavirus crisis. But that can all change.
Yeah.
That can all change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does a regular training session look like? How is it structured? Is there a structure?
Yeah. Yeah. So currently, we're working with a training schedule or training program based on a training program that the Jiu-Jitsu Foundation International Association, where we're currently members of, provides us with. It gives a team to the trainings. It gives special, not special, but certain techniques that we train. So the entire training is built around that idea. Yeah, which means we do a warm up, not so much cardiovascular, but mostly just making sure that all the tendons are at least a little warm. Same goes for the muscles, but most important is your sense of direction. And Jesus, what's the English word for it again?
Coordination.
Yeah. No, that makes me sound like an idiot because I wouldn't know the word for coordination, but thank you. But yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's, your sense of coordination.
Awareness. Yeah.
So you can start properly executing the drills that follow, and then we have the techniques, and we try to put like 15 minutes for every technique, and then we end with either positional sparring, or after that, a normal sparring session.
That sounds clear. Sounds very structured indeed. And what do you see as the biggest challenge for a beginner? For someone who just comes into class, what is the biggest challenge they face in, for example, the coming 2 months?
Okay, so that all has to do with the person themselves. I think the biggest challenge is perception. Their perception of themselves and the perception of the sport. So how do you, and because of the perception, you have certain expectations. You have some certain expectations of how fast you're going to learn, how well you should be doing compared to others. And I mean by that, if you walk in your early 20s and you're fit, and you're big and you're strong, you'd expect to kick everybody's ass, at least the small scrawny kid, who's been training for 6 years and who's already a purple belt. But if you're 205 pounds and the other kid is like 145, you'd expect to kick his ass. Maybe not after the first class. I got to get into it. I got to ease into this sport, but I'll kick his ass. No, it's probably not going to happen. And if you can't manage those expectations of yourself and of others, it's going to be grueling. It's going to be really bad to try and learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And are there?
Yeah, so I think that's an important issue, and give yourself time to learn. Normally, I use the expression, the example of famous painters like Rembrandt. He didn't walk into some art class one day having never picked up a brush and just walked in and painted his masterpieces. That took years, grueling years of frustration, of deception, of people telling him he was doing shitty, or he was out of fashion, or he painted really crummy faces, and he had to take that in and still keep on going. So if you want to become really good at it, you got to invest a lot of time.
Yeah, so tying into that, what makes up a good BJJ player? Like which principles do you see?
Sorry, yeah, ga door. Sorry.
Yeah. So which principles make up a good BJJ player? Like, are there any underlying foundational things, like, for example, calm or strength, or how do you see that?
No, because everybody has a unique package of qualities. So I don't think there's a certain mold for a great athlete. You know, there's not a mold that I can try and fit you in, and then poop out comes Andre Galvao or somebody like that. No, there's no way. So the only thing you can do is keep training, keep training, keep training, keep training, keep training, and what helps is listen to people who've been training for a longer while. If they tell you, guy, dude, you gotta, or girl, you gotta maybe spar a little less hard. Maybe invest a little bit in not having a broken down body 5 years down the road. Maybe just maybe, instead of thinking, I'm 25, I'm fucking bulletproof, maybe listen to them and actually invest in smarter training schedules or regimes or habits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a valuable lesson.
Yeah. So last couple of questions.
Yeah.
Are there any relevant teachings you want to share with the audience in terms of how to handle with this lockdown, maybe from a BJJ point of view? Is there anything people could use or apply?
Yeah. I think if you try to brute force your way through this lockdown by clamping up emotionally, not talking about the stuff that bothers you, and not acknowledging the fact that stuff can bother you during a lockdown like this, whether you're a single person or you have a family, either if you've got your own company, or you work in an industry that's completely closed down because of this lockdown. If you don't acknowledge the fact that that's going to do something with you mentally, you're not going to stonewall. You're not going to be the tough man or the tough woman and sit this one out. It's going to do something to you, and whether it's going to do it in a couple of weeks or longer, way down the road, doesn't matter. It's going to do something. It's going to hurt you. Yeah. And you got to talk with people. Find somebody, find other people. Let off some steam. And don't be building up that pressure and expecting good things to happen, because it's not going to happen. And man, the last 4 weeks have been tough on me. I felt anxiety, depression, rage, frustration. I felt myself asking Jesus, why would I even keep up with this school?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this what it's come to? I've invested 10 years of my life, hours, days, time away from my family, time away from my then girlfriend, now wife, that I could have spent investing in them, and instead of that, I invested in, a sport that I don't know how you can have more physical contact, but so we're on an indefinite lockdown, and I've got to do something with these feelings. And it took me a couple of weeks to have that insight, and it's my job to have kids talk about their feelings and get some insight in what they do. So don't be embarrassed and feel that you should have been able to have that insight weeks ago, on day 2 of the lockdown. I think that if you can talk about it, it becomes more bearable. It won't become bearable every day of the week, but more days of the week. And I think that's really, really important. You get through those. It's just like training. So every now and then you're going to have a grueling period that every training feels like shit, and you feel like shit, and you're wondering why you're doing this. But if you just keep going along, if you ask questions, if you talk about what's not going your way, you have a way better chance of actually making it through that period and get into a better period.
Yeah. So let's assume this lockdown will end someday. and people got inspired from seeing this video. Where can they find Agoge, and what's the most efficient way to sign up for a class?
Okay, so two questions. One, first of all, you can find us Agoge Jiu-Jitsu .nl, or just Google on Agoge Jiu-Jitsu Nijmegen.
I will link it. Yeah,
it's very simple. You will never ever sign up through my site. You can, because I don't let people sign up for classes. You want to do a trial class, you want to do 2 or 3 trial classes, just send me an email. You can call me, we'll make an arrangement, and that's it. You will never sign up for a membership through my site, because the site tries to give the best version of that school. You need to experience the school. You need to experience the team. You need to experience me as a teacher, because if there's not a fit and you've already signed for a membership, you're going to feel bad, and that's going to be a negative experience, and I don't need that. Yeah, I don't need that. I want people to be happy when they train. Yeah, I don't need them to be happy when they roll with me. I need them to be happy when they train. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. You get in touch with me, and you get at least 2 free trial classes, and we go from there. Because it's custom. Yes, we have our fixed rates for memberships, but the rest, it's I try to do a custom job. Some kids are college students who have a hard time being able to pay for stuff, or people have a business that's going down. You try to. That's my daughter. You try to, I try to at least make sure that I can have everybody be able to train.
That sounds fair.
If they're in a if they're experiencing a hard time, I'm not somebody to kick somebody who's already down.
Yeah. So that was the last question. If there's anything else you want to share, do it now, and otherwise we will wrap it up, and you can start enjoying your day.
I've got to work later on today, so I'm happy with that, and I get to spend some time with my kids, which is also great. So happy to help out. I hope this garners you any views or positive reactions, because I think people will be a little bit groggy from all the spinning they had to do when walking through the house.
It feels like jiu-jitsu, indeed.
It's a bit like jiu-jitsu.
All the turning.
With me, you can always get out nauseous. But no, mostly I hope people can do anything with the insights that I have, and even if it gets a discussion going about how you need to deal with stuff like this, I'm happy to help out. So Case, keep up the good work. Yeah. And I hope to see you soon on the mats, rather sooner than later, of course. And
can't wait.
I can't wait either. So man, let's not get emotional. Okay. So have a great day.
Goodbye, wife and children as well.
Thank you. I will. And hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao.
Okay, that's it for me. Bye bye.